And I'll let you guys know how that's all going to look. All right, let's take that little infomercial and cut right to where are we? Where are we now? Why do we think we're not going to have a call Thursday night? I hope. Because there's quite a bit going on behind the scenes right now. There's quite a bit of money movement that's happened. And one thing that happened today around noon Pacific time was we understood that the historic gold bonds, we call them sometimes Pacelli's and Super Pacelli bonds, boxes of bonds started becoming hypothecated and paying out. And my understanding is that started around noon, and then around midnight tonight, they should start to pay out. Those bonds should start to pay. Now realize I'm not in that business. It's not really what I know much about. That's what I've heard. I'm just relaying what I've heard. That's a good sign, though. It's a really good sign that that's going on. I think other activities out west are taking place that will show some liquidity, hopefully tomorrow. Fines and penalties may go out tomorrow, I hope. That's what I'm hearing. We did get kind of a thinking that certain people were thinking we would be underway today, and I think we were, but just not for all of us, just not in terms of the 800 number release. I don't believe that's ready to go quite yet, but I think it's coming very, very quickly, very shortly. Let's cut to some other stuff that we know. I try to give you guys factual intel as closely as I can that's not speculative.
Right.
I speculate a little bit but I base it upon the actual intel that I get that is provable. Okay? And unfortunately there is some stuff that's a little bit too sensitive to put out on a public call like this.
Of course, yes.
So you just have to trust me again on some of that stuff.
We trust you.
But I could bring a lot of stuff. I'm walking a tightrope with you guys most of the time. And for example, there was a contingent from Iraq here of dignitaries, including Abadi and others here, and they were there at the UN, and they had meetings yesterday with our president and so on and so forth. All right, now, my understanding is that Abadi is on his way back tomorrow, should be in before midnight tomorrow night, and he should be bringing further documentation, and I believe he is hopefully going to speak around 11 in the morning on Thursday morning. Let's go back to Iraq. Iraq has erected 7 huge screen monitors, we're going to call jumbotrons, something that you'd see at a huge football arena, for example, to give you the play-by-play, to give you the replays and so on, slow-mo, all that good stuff up there on the TV. These are 52 feet tall by about 80 feet wide, rough dimensions. 7 of them installed. They're Samsung, I believe, sent by China to Iraq, in 7 different provinces in Iraq. For what purpose? Why would they be there in 7 provinces in Iraq? They're there so that the Iraqis can see firsthand Abadi making the speech in the UN on Thursday morning, New York time. It'll be, 7 hours later in Iraq? So that could be, say, 6 o'clock, let's call it. 6 p.m. or so, if my time zone is right. Okay? So, that's big. And it's so big that Iraq's calling Thursday, which is the 22nd of this month, sort of a holiday. It's part of a holiday now. I think then the holy day is for them is Friday. So those 2 days, more or less, a holiday. Now, so that's a cool thing that they're going to be able to witness that. For satellite uplink, it'll be a satellite, broadcast and so on, and they'll be able to see it live, which is cool. And that's a really cool thing. Now, what else? And what would be announced? Well, you can only guess. How deep will it go? Should it talk about? Prime Minister Abadi talk about where Iraq is now in terms of their sanctions dropped on Chapter 7 and into Chapter 8 with the UN? Since he's at the UN, he may talk about Iraq being back on the world scene as a trading partner with a viable currency again. Who knows? Will he get into currency being asset backed? I don't know. I don't know how deep it'll go. But I think it's going to be very interesting. It could be a really cool announcement. I hope it's carried where we see it on C-SPAN or on some network. I hope. Don't know that, though. Don't know that yet. But what else is happening over there? They were supposed to be paid at the new rates all over the country. I'm talking salaries, pensions, profit sharing, everything you can think of at their new rate on Thursday. But because of this holiday, they've pushed all of that to Sunday, which is the first business day of the week in Iraq, is Sunday. So all of those new payments that will go out, I believe they'll pick up some past pay that might have needed to be paid, plus additional pay at the new rate. All of that's being paid out on Sunday. Yeah, that's pretty cool, pretty decisive. That's going to be good. What else is going on? Sunday, if your country's currency is not asset-backed by 11:59 p.m. Sunday night, the 24th, guess what? You're out of the Forex, and you're not available to be on any trading platform. You're dumped. You're gone. History. See you later. Sayonara, baby. So don't you think there's a little incentive for all the countries that want to be part of trading, part of the Forex, part of platform trades, to have their currencies totally asset backed? And that doesn't have to be fully gold backed. It can be backed by other assets. By 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night, the 24th, Eastern Daylight Time. Interesting time frame, huh? So I look at that as being significant. Not necessarily for us, because I think we're going to be there and done by then. You know what I mean? In terms of notifications and starting our exchanges and so on. I sure hope so, guys. But that's happening. That's out there. Let's see what else. How are we doing on redemption centers down in Texas and Florida? We're still looking for 60-some people to find their way to the proper redemption centers that may be new. There's a reshuffling of personnel going on at the redemption centers, and 119, 100 and something, let's call it, plus or minus, that still need to be put into place. They're calling it scrambled, let's call it reshuffled into position in Florida. So at that time, when everybody gets settled into either existing or new redemption centers, they will be completely up and running and totally ready to go. Should have it by somewhere in the 10:30, 11 o'clock range in the morning tomorrow. Should be there by then. Might not make it, but they're going to try. They're going to try. All right, let's straighten out some stuff that was put out in error today about the redemption centers and what banks are involved. HSBC is the lead bank. They are the ones that are supervising over the redemption centers. Okay? They're the ones that have it set up. Used to be under Wells, and then Wells had to yield because of all the things that had gone down with Wells and the changeover of personnel and so on. And HSBC is the lead bank. Wells is still in the exchange. Don't think they're not. They are still there. They're still part of it. They did not lose their position. Okay? And they are getting a 2% fee for the exchanges that they're involved in. Guess what? There's a new player. And that is as a result of meetings with Jamie Dimon and the new CEO for Wells Fargo. They're people that knew each other before. They've had meetings, and they basically put it into where Chase could be part of the exchange process. JP Morgan Chase could be part of it. And they worked out a deal, finished it up about a week ago, where they could be part of the exchange process and supplement some personnel that needed to be put into place with additional personnel. And they would also have the ability to exchange some currencies, including, from what I understand, some ZIM, at their bank locations. Now, we know that HSBC gave them the wherewithal to be part of this process and to possibly get approximately 5% of the ZIM business in North America. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, kind of a new player in this. They weren't supposed to be part of it, but then they were, and then they're not, and then they are. And it doesn't really change anything for us at the redemption centers, although there may be certain Chase options at the redemption centers as a result, depending on if they've got some Chase personnel at your particular redemption center where you have chosen to go. And so I just wanted you guys to know that that change has taken place. It doesn't take Wells out of it at all. It just, there was more personnel that was needed. And for Wells to supply that additional personnel, we would have had to gone deeper and deeper into Abbott Downing personnel, which they didn't want to do. And so that's why that's taking place. Now, all of this really doesn't matter for us. All that matters for us is that we do our redemptions as we have learned by when this number comes out, and I'm able to take it, put it out for you to call. You call, set your appointment, let them know you have ZIM first. They know it's a bond, but if you know it's a bond, tell them, yeah, I've got ZIM bonds. And then more or less, you're going to go in and do your exchange once you're directed. Now, you'll be directed from your initial call number. If you've got ZIM, you would be directed to another live person that would be scheduling your appointment based on your zip code and so on. Okay? So that's sort of, you'd be transferred, I understand, to that secondary person. So you would be transferred. So be prepared to give them your information. I don't believe you're going to have to tell them the amounts of your currencies. Just tell them your currencies that you have. Lead with the ZIM, though, if you have ZIM. Now, when it comes to the rates, I'm just going to say the rates have been traded. They were resumed trading again last night, and I don't have final rates, obviously, yet. We don't have those, but we know that there's some movement up again, and I think that we're all going to be very pleased. Very, very pleased. My understanding is the John Q. Public doesn't start until October 1st now, which would give us, what, 10 or 11, 12 days if we started pretty quickly here to do our exchanges at the redemption centers. So you've got plenty of time to do it. Now, would you hesitate and set up something later? Not unless you were in the hospital or you were coming back from a cruise or going on a cruise. And you just didn't want to change it, and you had family going, and you just wanted to go. Okay, set your appointment and go. Okay? Because that would leave on Saturday. Most cruises leave on Saturday. So anyway, let's look at it this way. You set your appointment. You go in, you take your, at least one form of picture ID, take two if you have them, take a passport for sure if you have a passport, and I'm going to say even if it expired and you haven't sent it in to renew it yet, still bring it. It's a good picture of you. It's something, you know, they'll look at and say, okay, I can see it's you. And then you got your license. You know, I'm not even driving. My license expired, but I'm going to still bring it. Good picture of me. Nah, I'm just kidding. But, you know, bring whatever picture ID you have. If you got a Sam's card, bring your Sam's card. You know, if you got a student ID, bring your student ID. Government ID, bring that. Whatever. Just bring a picture ID. Bring a utility bill with your home address on it so they can see you're a real person that lives in a certain place. Try to bring that, whether it's a cell bill or whether it's electric bill or what, you know, gas bill, whatever. Bring something like that. Don't forget your currency. That's important. Write down how much currency you have in each one. Like if you got Zim, write that down. Count it out. Make sure you know. Don't go in thinking. Don't bring it in a paper sack. You know, here it is. Here's my stuff. Here it is. No, have it all neatly organized. Put it in envelopes. Put it in millions if you have more than 1 million of anything. You put it in millions so it's easily countable for you and for them. You know, if you got 10 million dinar, bring it in bundles of 1 million. And then either rubber band it or paper band it, whatever it is, and then just put all that together in envelopes with, you know, 10 million dinar on the outside of it, written on there. Okay? Or whatever it is, whatever you've got. Same thing with dong. Same thing with rupiah. Same thing with anything. Zim too. Count your Zim. Put your denominations of Zim separately, not all together. I mean, if you've got, you know, 500 million, put those separate. If you've got, you know, 10 trillions, put those separate. If you got 50 T's, 100 T's, put them all together like that, so that you're not mixing up denominations in one stack. Okay? Make it easy for them to count it. Count it yourself. Count it twice. Write it down. Write it down so you have a copy of it. And then what I think I'm going to do is give them a copy of it so they see what I say that I have. And then when they count it on the Deliveroo machine, it's like, yeah, you were correct. This is what we found. This is the number. This is the same thing. They're going to count and say, yep, you were right. That's what you had. Same thing. Okay. Then you negotiate your rate. Now, they're going to want to do Zim first. I just know it. They're going to want to do Zim first. You may want to do dong first and just crescendo with the Zim. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think they're going to want to knock the Zim out and get it out of the way. So do what you can to do to negotiate that where you want it based on your projects, and then take care of your other currencies, if you have any others, okay? Let them know what it is you intend to do and why you're asking for the rate you're asking for. Simple as that. Make your case. State it out there. And if you don't have anything to do, you do now. You can be part of Rebuild America. You can be part of the Veterans Retreat Network. You can be part of that too. And I know many of you just want to give money to that. I know that. So we're going to have to set it up where you can do that. I didn't want to do that. Did not plan to do it. We got so many people that I'm hearing that want to give to that, and it's not chump change either. I'm thinking, well, okay, doggone it. Let's set it up that way. We'll do it. We'll set it up. But the real thing I'm looking for you to do and help us with is Rebuild America. And that's when you explain that concept of rebuilding homes, rebuilding schools, convention centers, community centers, infrastructure within the city, whatever it is. Just look and see what the city needs. Drive around. See what it needs. If it's your own hometown, you know what it needs. You know? Write it down. Kind of have an idea. Make a few notes. And just say, yeah, I want to be part of rebuilding this particular town. Part of Rebuild America. And you don't have to mention my name. It's not about me. It's just about us corporately coming together to do a fun project that'll make a huge difference. But if you want to say the big call, there's something called the big call. Maybe you've heard of it. And they go yes or no. They'll say yes or no. Say, well, they're doing a thing called Rebuild America, and I'm going to volunteer and be part of that. Don't know everything about it yet, but what I know is we're going to rebuild all the way across this country, one city at a time, one community, one town at a time.